Hello Internet, how you doing? It's Wednesday, so welcome to Venusian Towers, the library at Venusian Towers, somewhere in the heart of what is a windy and rainy Harrogate today as I'm talking to you. It's time to see what's on the rack for this week, and let me tell you, it is a good one. I know I always say that, but I always mean it because it always is. So, what have we got for you? Well, Amazing Fantasy hits issue 5. This has been a fun little series. More alternative reality than What If, but it's been a fun little mashup of fantasy-based things mashed up into the superheroes that we know. And I've really, really, really enjoyed it. It's been huge fun. And speaking of things that I've really enjoyed that are huge fun, second issue of A Thing Called Truth hits the racks today. We still have copies of issue 1 if you didn't take my advice a month ago and get in on it then. This has been a wonderful, mad romp of a story. It's, there's a little bit of Thelma and Louise in there, there's a little bit of Crowded, actually there's quite a lot of Crowded in there. The characters are likeable and relatable, and the whole thing is just huge fun. Just huge, huge fun. And we all need a bit of that in our lives. So, A Thing Called Truth. Probably the best road trip you're going to read about this year. Then, we have a classic. Batman hits issue 118. And it's the start of a new story arc, start of a whole new era of Batman. It's a new creative team. Williamson, Molina and Morey, welcome all three of them to Gotham City. Give you a little bit of a taste of the artwork. There's a really nice sort of dynamic bit there. It's looking great. If you've not read Batman for a long time, if you've been put off by all the massive events, the Joker War and the Fear State, those are done now. Now is a really good jumping on point. So, Batman 118, check that out. Likely to be a pick of the week, actually. Batman, as a regular comic, often isn't a pick of the week. That doesn't mean I love it any less. Speaking of Batman, Batman 89 hits issue 4, and we get Robin on the cover. I don't know if this is an official character design from the 89 sequence of movies, but I think he looks pretty damn cool, actually. I like that design. I can certainly see it's one they would have come up with in the 80s. And the whole thing hasn't been the nostalgia fest I was expecting in many ways. But it is, very recognisably, the world of Tim Burton's Batman 89. Loved it so far. I imagine that's going to continue to impress. If you're not on board already, though, you might want to wait on the trade because, good luck getting a copy of issue 1, basically. I'm sold out and I can't get any more in. And then we have giant-sized Black Cat. Felicia Hardy. Marvel's answer to Selina Kyle. Completing the Infinity Score. Wrapping up quite a cool story arc there, actually. And we also have Captain America Iron Man. Now, I know nothing about this. I don't know if they're friends or not. I haven't read the synopsis, and I haven't read this yet. It's likely to be a pick of the week, though, because it's Captain America, it's Iron Man. What more do you want? Then we have the awesome crossover, which hits issue 10. Can you believe it's issue 10 already? I don't even know where to start with this book. It's the most fun thing that's happened in comics for a very long time. It's an utterly bonkers premise. It's gloriously leaning in to the meta implications of the comic book world colliding with our world. How they've got the rights to use the characters they're using, I do not know. I can only imagine that it's because the IP is owned by friends of theirs. So many independent comic book characters have cameoed in this, or even had major roles in this. It's just huge fun. Speaking of just huge fun, Christian Lobo continues issue 7 of 8. Very nearly done. Now it's a penultimate issue, obviously. Another number 1 from Dark Horse. We have Daisy. There's an element of modern fantasy in this. It's looking quite interesting. I have a feeling. I have a feeling that you might find this as a pick of the week. I'm staying on the fantasy theme. We have Dark Knights of Steel. Issue 2 out this week. Issue 1 was fabulous. This is an alternative universe where Kal-El landed in a sort of medieval style world, and it's just a nice fantasy twist on the DC universe. Very elegantly drawn. It looks great, and yeah, I really enjoyed issue 1. I'm expecting to enjoy where that series is going. Speaking of series, Doctor Strange continues to die. This time he's dying with Blade. And staying in the Marvel Universe, another event. But it's an event written by Chip Zdarsky. So, normally don't like events, but Chip, come on. Devil's Reign, issue 1 of 6, lands this week on the racks right now. Likely to be a pick of the week. And we're almost sold out on pre-orders, so if you fancy it, let us know. Frontiersman hits issue 3, The Good Asian hits issue 7. This has been an absolutely cracking series. The first trade is available, I think, now. You might want to check that out if you didn't check it out in singles. Inferno hits issue 3, speaking of events. And another number 1, Lady Mechanica, The Monster of the Ministry of Hell. Issue 1, out now, brand new, Lady Mechanica. All the steampunk adventure goodness you could possibly eat. And then from Vault, one of the finest independent comic publishers available, we have Luna Room. Cynthia used to be a lot of things. She was a werewolf, a mob enforcer, a name feared throughout the city. But now, she's none of those things, and she's trying to get back on with her life. Zack is a mage with their own agenda, and, right now, item number 1 is some protection. Normally, Cynthia wouldn't look at the job like that twice, but Zero may have the key to getting back the most important thing she ever lost. Herself. Nothing from Vault has ever been bad, in my experience thus far. Great looking art, nice sounding premise. You can very much expect that to be a pick of the week. Made in Korea hits issue 6. And Marvel's Voices, the occasional series looking at Marvel's minorities, is looking at the Latinx population of the Marvel Universe. So, the Ghost Rider, White Tiger, America Chavez, Nova, Miles Morales, Reptile. I don't know who that dude is. I clearly need to read the book. But always, these are interesting. If nothing else, they're interesting because you really do get an alternative view. Just a slightly different angle on things that are so familiar to us. But, everything can be seen through different eyes. Nita Hoare's Nightmare Blog continues, hits issue 2. This has been a wonderful spin-off of the equally wonderful Philadelphia from Rodney Barnes. This too from Rodney Barnes. Great looking book. It's just chef's kiss, really is. It's horror done brilliantly, and what more could you ask for on a dark night such as this? It's a dark night as I'm recording this, just trust me. Over to Image and Phenomex issue 2. Then we also have the return, after a bit of a hiatus, of Post Americana. Think Mad Max, but in America and slightly more bonkers. Very, very good series. I think this will make a decent jumping on point. Look for it to be a pick of the week. Red Sonja hits issue 4. Mirka Andolfo doing a really, really interesting job on this. I regret very much that this is not Mirka Andolfo's art, but the art works. So what more can we ask for? And Andolfo is a really good writer. I had no idea, genuinely. I always admired her art. I had no idea she could write this well. Really, really, really taken with it. Speaking of things I'm really, really taken with, from Vault, Rush continues. As a desperate woman continues to search for the son she believes is probably dead in the Yukon goldfields. But she ain't giving up. The Silver Coin continues. Ram V on writing duties this month. And honestly, could you ask for more? Seriously? Ram V? Speaking of other stuff that's a little bit stranger, Soul Plumber. Issue 3. I've been intrigued by this. Very interesting take on obsession and religion and power and stuff. It's got a real Vertigo feel to it. It's from the DC Horror imprint. It would have felt really at home in the early days of Vertigo, and from me, that is high praise indeed. It's a very strange book though. Amazing Spider-Man hits issue 80. It's a Beyond tie-in, and you know, it's Spider-Man. It is what it is. Doc Ock's back, messing with Aunt May again. The hottest couple in comics, back together. Star Wars hits issue 19 of the current run. And speaking of Star Wars, if you watched the movie Solo, and at the end thought, what's going to happen to Kira? And then you really regretted that nobody went to see it because they were still all mad about The Last Jedi, and therefore there will not be a Solo to sequel. There will not be a sequel to Solo. We can at least now learn a little bit about what happened to Kira, because we have Star Wars Crimson Reign, which is looking very much at everybody's favourite mob boss. Because, come on, she is, isn't she? And just exploring her story a little bit more. So it's from Charles Soule, written by Charles Soule, which again, always a good sign. Suicide Squad hits issue 10, and after a metric shed-load of DC annuals last week, this week we just have the one, Superman, son of Kal-El. This is the new Superman, the one that isn't Clark Kent, the one that is John Kent. And he gets his first annual. He's a really interesting character. I really like John Kent. I've liked John Kent since he first appeared in Superman issue 1, all the way back at the beginning of Rebirth in 2016. And now, 5 years later, he's aged a lot, but still a fascinating character. Speaking of fascinating characters, Two Moons hits issue 7. This has not been the book I expected it to be. It's been significantly better than that. Everything continues to be weird. What's the furthest place from here from Boss and Rosenberg? Still don't have the vinyls. It's beginning to look like I'm never going to get the vinyls, which I'm gutted about. But the story itself is brilliant. The art is wonderful. This is an absolutely cracking book. It's oversized, and they're knocking them out at $3.99 because they like you and they want you to have good comics that you can afford, which is, frankly, more than Marvel and DC are doing right now. Speaking of Marvel, X-Men Legends hits issue 9. So another return to an earlier take on the X-Men. This has got a very 90s feel about it. As does the cover. That's a very 90s cover. And then finally, it should have come up with all of the other M's, but it didn't because it's oversized. From Aftershock, one of their one-shots, Mother F. Goose. Just in time for Panto season. This is the book that will ruin your childhood. The Three Little Pigs are gluttonous casino owners. Little Miss Muffet is a hard-nosed cop with arachnophobia. The Three Blind Mice are ocularly impaired assassins. Puss in Boots is a feline-faced scumbag. Welcome to Mother F Goose, where your favourite fairy tales are turned into twisted characters right out of a Tarantino movie. From the mind of Frank Terry, better known for After Dark and Harley Quinn, and illustrated by the Eisner-nominated artist Joe Eisner, who you will know from Morning Glories and Engine Wood. This is a brilliant looking book, and they're not kidding about the Tarantino vibes. Just the right amount of irreverence that you need. And that is it. That is the rack for this week. It's been a really good rack. If you're reading this on the website, just scroll down. There'll be more information on everything. Oh, well, not everything here, but the highlights, the issue ones, that kind of thing. There'll also be a link to take you to the purchase page for the whole of the rack, so you can browse it online. And yeah, we will leave that there. We'll be back next week with even more great comics. We'll also have the big announcement of our Christmas New Year opening times, because we haven't decided what they are yet. And there may be some other interesting news by next week. Whether that'll go into a Wednesday waffle or not sure. But yeah, lots of fun and games to come. So we'll see you next week. Until we do, be kind to yourself. Be kind to everybody else. Stay safe, stay geeky, and love comics. We'll see you soon.